guys, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my June reading wrap-up. As always, I have a large variety of books across multiple genres and age demographics and everything. Yeah, this month was just, I don't know. I didn't really feel like reading a lot sometimes, but then at other times that's all I wanted to do. It's very strange. But yeah, there's a variety of books to talk about here, so we're just going to jump right in. But as always, if you guys want further thoughts, content details, what have you, that I don't go over in this video, all my Goodreads reviews are linked in the description for each and every one of these books, so you can check those out for further details on all that and whatever. So, yeah, we're just gonna jump right in with a bunch of nostalgia books. Apparently the end of May into June, I got into this mood to reread a bunch of, like, middle grade horse books that I read when I was younger. So, the first one I read was Pony Trek by Jill Morell. I think I've talked about this book on my channel before. I don't really know, but I think so. This is a contemporary horse story. Our main character is Jess, and she gets to go on a pony trek. It's kind of like a camping trip, with ponies in the country, and yeah, they have various adventures there, and that's pretty much it. I've always really enjoyed this one. It's just a fun little adventure. I always liked the horse stories in, like, horse books. If anybody out there was or still is a horse crazy girl, you know a lot of these books that they were publishing back in the day, they were very much more focused on competing and stuff. I more enjoyed the ones where it was the bonds between horses and people. They had other types of adventures because I'm not really into the competition scene. Like, I'm not a competitive person. Never been into that sort of thing. So yeah, this was always one of my favorites, and I just smacked my head, or smacked my glasses with a book. Okay, but this was always one of my favorites. Really enjoyed this again, gave it 4 stars. And then I read one which is an actual mystery, and that is The Iron Horse by Jenny Hughes. And this one we followed Gemma, and one night her horses get let out of their field. They get loose in the neighborhood, which starts a whole, like, neighborhood war against her and her family. Yeah, there's some suspicions around Jason, a guy that she makes friends with. Her brother suspects him of, you know, starting all this foul play. She's not convinced because she doesn't think Jason's that type of guy. There's a whole bunch of mysteries surrounding why it seems like someone wants to drive Gemma and her family out of their place and get rid of them. This one's really good. The mystery you can actually trace back into how it started and who was doing it. You know, all the clues trace back when you reread it, which you would be surprised how many middle grade mysteries are not like that. A lot of times they just throw monkey wrenches at the end, or at least the ones I've read, where they throw monkey wrenches at the end, and it's like, you didn't even put anything, like, clue-wise in there for me to tell that would have even been thrown in there. I guess it's supposed to be like a plot twist, but even then, with plot twists, you still have to lead up to the plot twist, or at least give an indication that there's going to be one, but whatever. They don't do that, apparently. Apparently they just think kids will just roll with it. Yeah. But this one doesn't do that. I really enjoyed this one. I've always really enjoyed this one. So yeah, I regave this one 4 stars as well. And then I decided to look in the library and see, hey, if the library had any of these from these certain authors. And they had another one by Jenny Hughes, which is Legend of the Island Horse. And I was thinking, because I seen this cover, sorry for the thing here, they stuck the library sticker right there, so yeah, I saw this cover and I was like, I think I've read this before, but I don't remember anything about it. And I realized why when I reread it. Yes, I have read this before. That is because it is incredibly boring. Yeah, not much really happens. There's a mystery to this because Jenny Hughes does write mysteries, horse mysteries, but the mystery doesn't impact the main character any. It's like a side thing. It's like these people over here are having the mystery angle. The main character is doing this sort of thing with her horse, and they, like, parallel each other, but they don't cross over, unlike in the Iron Horse where it was affecting Gemma. It was affecting the main character specifically. So the mystery felt more intense that way. It felt more real and relatable. This one's just kind of like a side plot. But it was, like, being treated like it should be the main thing, which I kind of wish it was the main thing, because the other side of the plot line, when we're following our main character, Tia, practicing with her horse and basically trying to get her horse over his fear of one of these jumps that she's been practicing on. that's pretty much her side of the story. It's very boring. Anyways, I think the mystery would work better if it somehow affected Tia in general, because her side of the story was that and her whining about everything. Like, I don't know what the guy in here, she has a crush on him, he kind of has one on her. I don't know why he does, because she is an insufferable whiny brat for 90% of this book, and it's not a very long book, so you can see how irritating that is. But then again, he also doesn't have a personality. He's basically a cardboard cutout. A good-looking one, apparently, but still a cardboard cutout. And I just can't do that. The only thing I liked about this one is the illustrations in here are gorgeous. She did the cover too, the illustrator, but yeah, the illustrations in this book are gorgeous. She did the same ones in Pony Trek. She did those too. So, you know, if you ever find these editions and are curious. But yeah, I don't know, because I liked the mystery angle, but the mystery angle was also just a side plot, and it kind of didn't really do anything. The main character's insufferable. Yeah, I gave this one 2 stars. I wouldn't really recommend it, because Jenny Hughes, her books are pretty good. This is just one of the ones where, since the mystery doesn't affect the main character any, it's kind of boring and really annoying, and I've been thinking back on some of her other books that I have read in the past, and usually those ones are the ones I don't really remember very well. She has a few other ones, and the ones I remember liking more, the mystery more impacted the main character. So I think that's the key there for her books, but this one is not one I'd recommend. If you want to try any of hers, try the Iron Horse. That one's really good. And then the last one on kind of my nostalgia read kick that I read is You and Me, Speedy by Malin Stin? I don't know. She's Swedish, so I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. This is in English. By the way, just in case you were wondering, I don't read Swedish. I wouldn't even know where to start. But this one is a contemporary. We follow Sophie. Her family has moved from England back to Sweden, but she has grown up her whole life in London with her best friend and all that, and she's very mad, very lonely. She doesn't want to move back to Sweden, and then she finds out that in her tiny little town, there are more horses than there are humans, mainly because her aunt and uncle runs a trotting farm. And she is less than thrilled because she's afraid of horses. She's never really been interested in them. She just wants to get back to London and see her friend in the summer. So her parents arrange for her to get a summer job working at her aunt and uncle's trotter farm. Yeah, she's less than happy about that. And it just goes from there. It's her, kind of Sophie just navigating this new life. Kind of just her emotional impact is very character driven. We just basically follow Sophie on this new journey of learning to grow to like horses and be less afraid of them. Also, she has some drama with her cousin Isabel, because Isabel doesn't seem to like her, but Sophie has no idea why, and there's some drama there. And yeah, it's just her adjusting to her new home. I think Sophie is very overdramatic. She is very melodramatic. But not like I think she's a character that's gonna fall one of two ways with people. She's either gonna really annoy people, or she's gonna be kind of endearing and funny to people. That's where she is for me, because I kind of have a dramatic streak myself. And when I was 13, I was probably this melodramatic myself. So, it was kind of amusing this time around reading it from an older reader's perspective. And yeah, I really like the way the author wrote it. It's a very good story. It's very interesting learning little details about like Swedish holidays and how a trotter farm is run. Because trotters, it's like, for those who don't know, like a standardbred with a sulky behind it. I'll put a picture up here if I can find one on Google of what it looks like. That's what they do. It's a trotter race. It's kind of similarly run to a, like the Kentucky Derby, but in that kind of thing where it's horses racing on a track, but they have a cart behind them, and obviously they're not riding them, and they're standardbreds, not thoroughbreds, so that's kind of the difference there for anybody who doesn't know what a trotter is. But that's what her aunt and uncle run. I think that's more popular over in Europe than it is here, in the States, but I don't really know much about trotters and all that type of thing, but this book was really helpful in learning some of those things. I gave this one 4 stars, really enjoyed it. Now I'm gonna have to retrack down the copies of the other books, because fun story, I used to own this book not this particular book, but I used to own this book. But during a very confused, stupid time of my life, I got rid of them. I had like the first 3 books in this series, and now I have to refind them and repurchase them because I really enjoyed this. And I would want to read them again. So, yeah, really good if you can find secondhand copies of these, because the author has republished them, but only in Swedish. So, unless you know how to understand Swedish and can read it, not going to help you much, unfortunately. But yeah, there are secondhand copies of these out here in English. They just look like this, at least, you know, this type of hardcover. So, yeah, but I would highly recommend them if you find them and you're interested in middle grade horror stories. Okay, now we're going to hit my kind of low point. We're going to hit a low point here. Because these are books I DNF'd or gave like 3 stars, kind of, in a way, at least this kind of section that we're going to go through, because why not? We're just going all over the place. Okay, the first one I DNF'd was All Along You Were Blooming by Morgan Harper Nichols, I believe. This is a poetry book, Christian poetry. I've been trying poetry because I really want to get into some of it. I like some of it when I do find it. However, is that wasp on the outside? I really hope that's on the outside of the window. Hang on a second. Crisis averted. The wasp is outside. He's just sitting on the window for whatever reason. So anyways, I don't really care. He's outside and not in here. Not that he could get to me because the window is closed. And also, sorry if it's dark in here. And my curtain's closed over there because the sun is trying to come in, and it's like 90 out, and I don't want to fry to death. So anyways, the wasp is out there. So we're good there. Anyways, back to this book. This is poetry. I've heard Chantel talk about this book, and I really wanted to try it. I want to get into more poetry. I've liked some, and I haven't connected with others, so it's kind of a hit or miss thing for me. This one unfortunately hit for the miss category. I couldn't connect with this at all. I found the poems after a while, like, I nearly got to the end of the book. I think I had like, I don't know, maybe 5% left of the book. But I was just kind of staring at it. I wasn't taking in any of the words. It was just kind of going over my head all the time. And I couldn't figure out why. But then I kind of realized near the end of the book why. The poems felt very the same to me after a while. They felt kind of generic. I hate to say this, but they almost felt kind of generic Christian, for lack of a better term. And I don't know, I just kind of got annoyed with it. Nothing was sticking. I don't know. It was just kind of almost feel-goodish type poetry, and not, I don't know, the types of poems I tend to connect to, I kind of describe as very raw and bloody. That's how I describe it, because I am nothing if not descriptive. So that's kind of the ones I tend to attached to, and this one didn't really have that. It was just more feel-good stuff, which is totally fine. I think it would connect with a lot of people. It just sadly was a miss for me, so I DNF'd that one. And then we have, this is one of the first 3 stars. That is Drake Hall by Christina Baehr. This is the second book in the Secrets of Ormdale series. This follows, it's kind of set in I think it's like the Victorian Regency area. It's like what date is it? The late 1800s. Like the other book that I have sitting here is 1889. So that's kind of the date we're going with. So anyways, I don't know what time period that is. Is that Victorian? Is that Regency? I'm terrible at historical facts and dates and stuff like that. So please excuse me for all that. But anyways, read Drake Hall. This is the second book in that series, where it's set in that time period, and we find out, our main character Edith finds out that dragons are real, and her family are like the guardians of England's last few dragons. So anyways, I gave this book 3 stars. I gave the first book, Wormwood Abbey, 4 stars. I liked it okay. Edith did kind of get on my nerves. Unfortunately, that is a theme. Edith is still getting on my nerves. And I don't know, I felt like I was dragging myself through this book. Like, I literally had to drag myself through the last percentage of this book, and it just kept annoying me. Also, Simon's mother is a real witch. She can just go rot for all I care. She is horrible. She is a manipulative creature who should just be left where she is and just bye-bye. I do not like her. She is annoying. She's irritating. Unfortunately, that is compounded by book 3, Castle of the Winds, which I DNF'd. Because I was having problems with Dracol. So, gave that one 3 stars. Then I just kind of started skimming the beginning of this. It was just kind of, then I just kept skimming it. And it got worse. Somehow, Edith, who used to have brain cells, has lost them all. She does the dumbest things in this book. Like, I was just like jaw-droppingly dumb, in my opinion. And I'm just like, girl, there are warning signs everywhere that this situation you are walking into is a trap, is not something you should be staying in. Literally, Simon at one point tells her, I think we should leave. They're trying to trap us here. And then she's just like, cute little Simon, I know what's best for us because I'm the female main character and it'll be fine. And then she treats him just so petulantly. Throughout the rest of this book, that was somewhere near the middle, I think. And I was just like, girl, what are you doing? You are dumb. She is so judgmental. She is so bratty and bossy. I do not like this character one bit. I literally put at the beginning of my Goodreads review that I skimmed and then basically didn't read it because of the idiot main character. I'm sorry to everyone who likes these books and likes Edith. I'm very sorry, but I do not. I find her an absolute pain in the butt, and I want to throw her off a cliff at this point. So yeah, I will not be continuing this series, because it sounds like from the reviews that are not glowing 4 or 5 stars that I read on Goodreads, it seems like she continues her idiocy ways. And I'm done with her. I don't like her. And I feel like Simon should just ditch the women of his life and just run away. Because literally none of them are worth it. Also, I don't know why. I feel like Simon is underwritten. I don't know. He doesn't seem like a very key agent in anything. Except to be, I don't know, something for Edith to boss around. I don't know. But, I like books where kind of all the main characters have this sort of dynamic equality, I guess you would call it. It just seems like as the series goes on, he gets pushed down more and more just because Edith is so amazing, I guess. I don't know. I want to throw her off a cliff, so maybe I'm the wrong person to ask. But I don't know. I just feel like he gets overshadowed and oppressed by everybody around him. And he's, like, fine with it. I mean, like, I get if he's, like, more of a chill guy who doesn't want to pick fights and stuff like that. I get that. That's fine. I like characters like that. And one of my favorite books, The Crownless Prince by Selena R. Gonzalez, has a character like that. Marcus is the main character like that. He's basically a pacifist. But there's a certain way to write those characters, at least in my opinion. This is just purely my opinion. But I think there's a certain way to write those characters where they're still dynamic characters that you like. And then there's a way to write them and then they just turn into wet blankets or just doormats for everybody else to walk on. I kind of feel like Simon is that in this series. He's just a doormat for Edith and his horrible mother and everybody else to just kind of walk on and kind of disregard because, oh, he's a guy. I don't know. I just kind of get that weird vibe about that. I don't know if that's the way the author wrote that or that I'm just reading into it too much or that's just my opinion. I don't know. Plenty of people love Simon. I have seen a lot of reviews where people don't like Edith, so apparently I'm not alone in that one at least. But I don't know. I just feel like the way Selena wrote Marcus and the Crownless Prince is the better way to go if you're going to have more of a pacifist main guy character, so to speak. I don't know. That's just my opinion. So yeah, we're just gonna get off this rant. I DNF this book. I will not be continuing the series. I'm very sorry to everybody who likes them, and especially to Lindsay. Sorry, Lindsay. I know you love the series, but I sadly don't. So, sorry. Then we're just gonna do this 3-star because I'm just getting it out of the way. Because I don't know. I just didn't really care for this one either. And that is Fairies Don't Date Dragons by Amy Horikami. This is part of the Camp Spellbound series. I read the first book, Mermaids Don't Take Krakens, earlier this year. I forget when. This is the 4th book in the series. I got it for free randomly because I saw it when it first came out and it was free, so I snagged it. The author does say it's better to read them in order, but I read this one without reading books 2 and 3, and none of the other characters, I think, from the previous books really do anything with these main characters, so it didn't really matter to me. But anyways, our main girl character is, she's half fairy, half human, and she kind of gets looked down upon, I guess, in the supernatural community of a sorts, because of that. So she's helping to build this new zip line in Camp Spellbound, and she comes across this dragon shifter, the main male guy. I forget their names totally. And he, like, instantly has a bond with her. Like, I think what they call it in this world, like a mate bond, that sort of thing. So yeah. And it's their relationship as they're trying to build the zip line. Somebody's trying to sabotage the zip line. It goes from there. Okay. This one is going to be very polarizing for a lot of people, I know, because their main male guy, since he is a dragon shifter, he is also has dragon tendencies. So he's extremely possessive, especially of the main girl. Especially like when it kind of falls into the tropes of whenever she tries to talk to another guy, he gets really possessive. She does put her foot down. After a while, she's just like, quit, enough. You can't keep acting like this. You can't keep acting possessive of me. So he does chill out a bit, but I do feel like, considering that's like the first several chapters of the book, that's going to turn off a lot of people. It kind of turned me off initially, too, so I was kind of willing to look over it since he's a dragon shifter, but it did get a little better when she put her foot down. The problem is, they also didn't like have any interactions with like other friends. Like, she has a best friend who, no surprise to anyone, has been in love with her for years. So then when she ends up loving another guy, he literally ditches her. Wow, like, I guess your friendship meant nothing to you. Like, pff, that was terrible. Also, like, I hate that trope. I literally hate that trope where it's like, unless it's like a friends to lovers romance, I absolutely despise that trope. Where it's the main female character's best friend, who's a guy, has been in love with her for years and then gets mad when she gets an actual boyfriend or whatever, or likes another guy and doesn't like him. I just absolutely despise that trope. Like, can't the girl have a guy best friend who, like, already has a girlfriend, is in love with someone else, and, like, is crushing on someone else and not her? Like, because it never ends well. It always ends terribly. The friend always then just gets vilified. Things just turn weird. I absolutely despise that trope. And that was everything I despise about it was brought up in this book. I hated that. Didn't really care for the romantic relationship either. They were cute at times, but also, like, since the male main character was so possessive of her for the majority of the book, it's also kind of weird, because it's like, should I feel like that I should want these two to be together? Like, how many years down the road is this gonna turn into a problem? That kind of thing. Like, I know it's fiction, and a lot of the times I can overlook certain things like that in fiction. I know a lot of people can't overlook that. Me, usually, in general. So, yeah. Didn't really care for that. The whole zipline being sabotaged thing was barely in the book. I think if that had been in the book more, I would have been, like, I was interested because I finished the whole thing, and I kept reading it. I think I finished it in a day. But, I don't know, I was kind of expected more from the zipline sabotage thing, and aside from a few things, it really was kind of a non-issue. I don't know, it was weird. The ending was kind of rushed. Yeah, it was fine. I definitely would recommend Mermaids Don't Take Krakens over this one. Because this one isn't that good, in my opinion. I'm still gonna try to read the other two if the author ever puts them for, like, free again. But I'm in no rush. And the first book is definitely better. So yeah, 3 stars. Okay, we're just gonna do this one because it's super small and I'm gonna get it out of the way. And that is one Pencil Met Eraser. This is a picture book. My mom and I have been looking through picture books because I'm thinking about trying to write some that would go with her art. So yeah, this is just a cute little story of how Pencil and Eraser became best friends, and Pencil learns not to be so judgmental, and yeah, it's just really cute, really fun story. I think I read it in like 2 minutes. But yeah, it's really cute. Eraser is kind of the life of the party. I very much got the vibe that he's very much a live wire. So yeah, yeah, this was cute. I give it 4 stars. And we're going to get into my 1 5-star of the month. Yeah, this was my only 5-star of the month. That is Ties of Frost by Selena R. Gonzalez. This is her most recent release. It is part of the Tethered Hearts multi-author series. And this one is, we follow a wyvern shifter named Zidra and an ice elf named Kyrandar. I think that's how you would pronounce his name. But anyways, they're part of this sacred knight order that protects the realm, protects the people, and serves their god, who I don't remember the name. Anyways, but Zidra kind of has a chip on her shoulder concerning Kyrandar, because she feels like he's always there. He's always like trying to steal her glory. She feels like she has something to prove, and he's just always there getting in her way. However, during an investigation that she shouldn't have gone on, because that was dumb on her part, and he said that enough, and she even admitted it later on, so we'll just get that out of the way. Anyways, due to that, something happens during an attack, and Kyrandar has to save her life using his ice magic. Unfortunately, during this thing, when he does that, he accidentally enacts a heart bond between them. So, now they are attached by this heart bond. They're like, we don't feel this way about each other. And their whole thing is to go find this other ice elf who is much more powerful, who like disappeared a few years ago. So they're going to track him down so that he can take the curse out of Zidra's arm, which Kyrandar had to put his ice in there in order to stop it. So they're trying to find someone to take away her curse, which will then hopefully take away their heart bond. But as they travel together, do they really want that heart bond to break? You'll have to read to find out. This is really good, really sweet. I finished this in like 2 days because I started it and then the next day I was feeling terrible, so I just sat here and read this whole thing, and it made me feel much better because I love these characters. It's so great. I love this. Kyrandar he is very extroverted. I really, really like him and how he pairs with Zidra's more like colder personality, I guess you would call it. She's more reserved. She's more like tough girl type, but she's not an annoying girl boss. She kind of leans towards those tropes, but Selena writes her in a way where she's not that type of character. I actually found myself relating a lot to Zidra, which is kind of interesting because I also wanted to beat Zidra's head into a wall, and then I was like, later on when I started learning more of why she acted that way, I was like, oh, I kind of have those same insecurity problems. If I bang my head against the wall, will that cure me? I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, and I'm not going to. I'll just get a headache from it. But yeah, I really love this. Really love the world building around this. I really hope if Selena continues to write in this world, that would be so interesting because I really liked the order that they were in, Order of Knights, kind of similar to the Jedi, but they're not corrupt. They don't turn corrupt. Because I think the Jedi are about the only ones that I've read or watched something that has a fictional, like, order of knights that serve a god, that sort of thing. But yeah, I really like this. I really like their order. It was very complex. I really like the world building she put in. So yeah, if she ever wants to write more books in this world, I would not be mad. I would really like to see these two again as well because I just love them. Great characters. The romance was, of course, as always, wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I would highly recommend it if you like elf kind of... I was going to say elf human, but she's not a human. She's a wyvern. So, like, elf romances, I guess. If you like that sort of thing, kind of like Elven Alliance series by Tara Grace, I think you would really like this one. Has action, has all kinds of things, has deep character arcs. Loved it. This is a wonderful book. I'm really, really glad I read it this year, and yeah, I just really enjoyed this. Yeah, this was on one of my anticipated releases for this year, and I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, 5 stars. Now we're going to do these two because I have gone back to the queen of superhero novels, and that is H.L. Burke's next series, which is the Supervillain Legacy Project series. This is her new superhero YA series set 17 years after the very first series in this universe, the Supervillain Rehabilitation Project series. And the first book in this series is Game On. We follow the children of several of the main characters in the other series that she has from the Supervillain Rehabilitation Project series, the Superhero Romance Project series, and the Supervillain Romance Project series. We have, and also the Supervillain Rescue Project series. We have characters from all of these different series. Those people who are either just younger adults or teens themselves in those books are now adults. They have kids, and we are now following the teens of several of these grown-up superheroes in their competition for the Sable Games, which is basically like a kind of like a superhero Olympics of sorts. For like teens, it's like a publicity stunt. They're also trying to find new heroes for their superhero world, and Ruby definitely wants to join in along with her brother Curran and their friend Oliver. So it's basically that storyline. If you've watched or read My Hero Academia and you know about the sports festival arc, it's very similar to that, except they use VR simulations to have the teens attack each other rather than just the teens fighting each other like they do in My Hero Academia, where it's like, do you want these kids to survive? These will, though, because they're just using a simulation. So, anyways, I really enjoyed this one. Really like all the new characters. I like the old characters who they're older now, and they're like more in mentorship roles and parent roles, and they're still true to themselves. We had multiple characters from different series show up, and I actually remembered who everybody was. We had also additions of other kids who were introduced, who hopefully will get stories later on. With the way that the author is writing these books, I have no doubt that most of these characters will probably get a story at some point in their future. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Oliver, one of the main characters, he also has this heart condition. We have met him before in Wishing on a Supervillain, part of the Superhero Romance Project series. He was in that book. But he has kind of been denied from the Sable Games due to that, and he kind of fudges his record in order to get on Ruby and her younger brother Curran's team. So there's kind of that going on. Jake, one of my all-time favorite characters from this universe, he's in here a lot as the coach for their team. Really enjoyed this one, gave it 4 stars, and I read this one in preparation for reading the arc of Book 2, Game Changer, which I was given a copy to read by the author, so thank you very much to the author for giving me that copy. I really enjoyed this book, also gave it 4 stars. This one definitely has a different feel. We're mainly following Oliver. We follow the other characters as well, of course, but his dad gets basically framed and blamed for murder. But Oliver is convinced that his father did not do this. He would never do this. So he sets out to prove his father's innocence, and there's a whole bunch of things that go along with it. If you've read her other YA series, the Supervillain Rescue Project series, this plot feels very similar to the last book in that series, Power Up. I was a little concerned it would follow a lot of the same beats, aside from one instance where Oliver takes off on his own, very much like Jake does in that book. Aside from that, the story is very different. The situation is very similar to that in Power Up, which is why I was a little concerned it would be the same. But no fear, the author is a superhero writing queen, but she's also just a writing queen in general. And no worries there. This plot is very much different, aside from, like I said, that one part where Oliver does run off on his own to solve things. But the other characters catch up to him very quickly because of circumstances. And I just love the whole thing. We also see dynamic between 2 characters, Jake and Sean, from both characters are in her Supervillain Romance Project series, plus other books. But I really like their dynamic because the last time we saw them together, they didn't have the greatest dynamic in the world for reasons I will not get into. You would have to read Engaged to a Supervillain in order to know. I have the book up there, but yeah, you can't see it. Anyways, yeah, you would have to read that one to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, really love that dynamic, love the story. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. Again, gave it 4 stars. I'm very much looking forward to whenever the 3rd book comes out. Then I'm just going to throw this one in here as well because I don't have a ton to say about this one. And that is we're going to go the other end of the spectrum. This is YA contemporary romance, and that is Teaching the Teacher's Pet by Sarah Sutton. In this one, we follow Maisie. She is basically a math genius, but in her high school, she gets labeled as most likely to marry a math book, which is kind of a mean label and also, like, really ridiculous. She takes it, like, really badly. She's, like, really miffed about it. And then, of course, because it's, like, something that it's the most likely to list where, like, the popular kids come up with it. So she got slapped on it. She's mad. And then this popular, one of the football players, Connor, he comes up to her. He needs math tutoring. And she's just like, nope, nope, nope. I'm not doing this. She's about ready to kick him out until the principal tells her if she does this, she will get her valedictorian that apparently the school was going to remove, but they will give it back to her if she tutors him. So she's like, reluctantly agrees. And yeah, and then in exchange, Connor offers to give her love advice, because her and her boyfriend's relationship is kind of, like, non-existent. So he offers to give her love advice so that can pick back up. But in this love advice, she starts having feelings for a different guy. Him. So yeah, this is just a very cute, sweet romance story. I follow Sarah Sutton on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel where she talks about her writing process and stuff. So I've been following her for a bit. And I was very curious, like, contemporary romance, not normally my thing. And this one specifically, I was going to pass up because of I was afraid, based on the description, that the cheating trope was going to be in, because Connor also has a girlfriend. So I was thinking, is the cheating trope going to come up here? Because I don't like that trope. But it didn't. Thankfully, the author handles it very well, where neither character is cheating at all. They're very respectful of that, and before they, like, do any type of relationship with each other, they have officially dumped their respective partners. So, and nothing like that in the cheating trope comes up. She takes cliches also and flips them on their heads at times. I really enjoyed this. I really got into Maisie and Connor's journey and their relationship. Maisie is a bit judgmental at first, and she's very much kind of makes math her entire personality, but hey, I can understand being 17 and making one thing your entire personality. For me, it was horses. For her, it's math, so I can understand that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Wasn't going to try this until it came up for free. I decided to jump on it because, like I said before, I never finished that sentence, did I? When I was following Sarah Sutton on YouTube, I have wanted to try her books. But yeah, tried this one. Definitely am going to try others. It was just a very cute story. So if you're looking for kind of like that Disney Channel romance vibe, but with a lot of heart on the side, I would highly recommend this one. It was very good, and I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye out for if or when the second book's price drops, so that I can pick that one up and continue. Also, on the kind of contemporary romance side of things, yes, it is contemporary romance, I also read Cinderluna by Marie Soleil, I think? I don't know, I apologize if that's incorrect, how you say the author's name. This is a Cinderella retelling rom-com. Yeah, in this one, Luna is our Cinderella character. She moves into this new town, but things aren't really working out for her, except for her friendship with her gamer friend Midnight, because she is a gamer. But she's never, like, told him that she's a girl, because gamers have a lot of, I guess the girl gamers often get a lot of flack and stuff. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know, but I have heard about this. So anyways, she tries to keep that a secret, but she also has met this guy, Henry Stone, on the train, and she had, like, an instant connection with him. They both had an instant connection with each other, so she's kind of navigating that relationship, but then also she starts having feelings for Midnight as well. It's a very basic rendition of Cinderella. It's very cute. I enjoyed it, for the most part. I do have 2 issues, though, which made me drop this. I originally put this as a 4-star on Goodreads, but then as I thought about it more, I dropped it to a 3-star. So, there's a reason for that. There were 2 issues that made me drop it. Mainly, the ending is extremely strange, the way the author did it. I know she's setting up the plot lines for her next 2 books in this series. But, like, at one point, Luna actually breaks the 4th wall and tells the reader that it's not her story to tell when things are being explained, and I'm just kind of like, I think there could have been a better way to write that, but okay. Also, I don't know, I just felt the ending was a little off in some way. I think it was a little rushed. So yeah, it was cute, but ultimately those 2 things kind of dropped my rating overall. So, yeah, 3 stars. The next book, I can't say a ton on. That is My Hero Academia, Volume 41. I bought my first copy of this series. I love this series. Okay. At this point in time of recording, I have it as a 4-star on Goodreads. I think I'm going to change it to a 4.5 star. I will confirm somewhere here on the screen if I did that or not. But yes, I am bumping up this rating. We're in the final battle. It's intense. It's amazing. I did drop it to a 4 initially because there's a lot of chatter in the beginning on what to do in a certain situation. So it did feel a little slow at first, but the ending more than made up for that. I love this book. Love these characters. I'm very excited for the final volume to come out. Unfortunately, I have to wait until October, which is a bummer. But yeah, really, really enjoyed this one. Continue to highly recommend this series. If you like superheroes, manga, all the things, highly, highly recommend this. And the other one is the finale of a sort in this series. That is Dark Moon, the Blood Altar, Volume 7. The final one, except for that ending part. Okay, so the first part of this, I can't say anything about it. The fight against the bad guy, loved it, loved the resolution of this, loved the one part, especially when Healy finally realized that his powers were his own. It wasn't just because Sua helped him out. Each of the brothers has their own powers, and they always did. It wasn't just because of her influence. So I really like the way it was written. I really like that. It kind of reminded me of how, like, God gives you talents for things, but it's still your talent, so that even if other people amplify it and stuff, you can still use it, even if they try to, like, tell you can't or whatever. And so I really liked that. I loved the whole resolution. I really, really do. Until we got to the last 2 pages. They're setting it up, apparently, for a sequel series. Apparently, there is going to be one at some point. But the way they did it was so confusing, so dumb. Like, I have so many questions about this. Yeah, I just, like, what? I was just so confused by the end of this. So confused, so annoyed that they ended it that way. Like, if you're gonna do a sequel series, just cut that part out. Just don't even leave it in there. Especially because they end the whole thing with this, like, thank you for reading page like it's done. Like, so is there a sequel? Is there not? I'm so confused by the whole thing. So that dropped my rating to a 4-star. Otherwise, if that section didn't exist, if these last 2 pages didn't exist, I would probably give it a 5-star because I really liked it. There was one other part, though, that maybe even if those 2 pages didn't exist, I might have dropped it a little. Though maybe not. They tried to redeem the big bad guy at the end, which is like, this guy is awful. You do not need to try to redeem his actions. So I was annoyed by that. Like, I get it. Some villains you can redeem and do it well. This one is like, this one was so evil. There is no way you could redeem this dude. So I just kind of got annoyed at that part. Like, you tried to redeem this guy? Okay, whatever. But yeah. And then the last episode, I do want to point this out, the last episode, the special episode, chapter 71, it's just a preview for a couple other stories they have on Webtoons, which is one's a prequel of the vampire boys living at Vanfield House, their, like, orphanage, and another one's for something else where the past life of one of the characters is talking to the wolf god. I was confused by that until I realized, oh, that's what it is. It's basically just a preview for other stories. So this one isn't necessarily to read, but that's what it is. I mean, that's what I finally figured out what it is. But yeah, I did still thoroughly enjoy the series. If you want a fun paranormal romance, urban fantasy type series that's quick, easy to go through, you don't mind too much blood, this is a very violent series. So if you're squeamish about too much blood, which my one friend, she's kind of squeamish about violence and stuff, but she read it just fine, so it may just depend on the person, but yeah, very bloody at times. But they are vampires and werewolves, so you kind of expect that going in. But yeah, still really enjoyed this, gave it 4 stars. I just am very miffed by the ending and very confused, and now I'm less excited for the anime, because if they decide to go that route at the end and then don't continue it, or if they continue it in a very annoying way, because now I'm sensing another love triangle on the horizon, and that is not making me happy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with like regards to the anime and stuff, because they had the potential to take the series and amplify it and make it better. I just don't know if they're gonna take that route. So whenever they decide to do anything with the anime besides just announcing that they're making it and then radio silence ever since, whatever. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this one. But overall, still really enjoyed this series. Would still recommend it if you want a fun urban fantasy series. Yeah. But yeah, would highly recommend this one still, even though the ending is very confusing and very dumb. The last book I'm going to talk about, I finally read almost to the exact year that I pre-ordered it. Almost. It came out in July, so not quite, but almost. And that is The Nightmare Virus by Nadine Brandes. I finally read this book. This is Christian sci-fi with kind of elements of fantasy and elements of dystopian. In this world, dream technology has gone wrong. This virus is spreading across the globe, trapping people in a nightmare world. Basically where they can never get out, and their body like dies in the real world, and they're just stuck in this like virtual reality of the mind, so to speak. So Kane and his brother Noel have been trying to come up with a cure. However, it's not working, and then Kane only has 22 days left until he gets infected and he's trapped in this nightmare virus. When Kane does wake up in this nightmare virus, he finds he's stuck in a Roman type world where people are thrown into a gladiator ring in order to survive. And the story goes from there. So I don't really want to say too much about this one. I'm not sure how to say too much about this one. Yeah, I just really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I was concerned it would be very sci-fi. Sci-fi is very hard genre for me to get into, mainly because it's very scientific or whatever. This one wasn't that way. I understood everything right from the get-go, how things were going. I like Kane as a character. I think Nadine is one of the best female authors who writes really good male characters. And yeah, I really enjoyed Kane. I enjoyed the other characters as well. Yeah, this was just a really good book. Really gave me a lot of thought, especially in regards to imagination and how God creates with us. And I just, as an author, I just really love that messaging. Yeah, I just really love that. And one quote, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's basically how God created a world. He basically did world building first before putting people in. I love that because it's, I don't know, I just really like that because that's, yeah, in essence what he did when he created the world. He created a world and then he wanted people in it, so then he put people in it. I mean, basically Earth and reality and stuff is the greatest story ever told. It's like the most epic story ever told, so it's kind of interesting. I like thinking about those things in general. Just as an author, I understand a little bit more about God's kind of perspective, if you call it, on humanity and like the world and stuff at large. It's just one big story, like, and he's keeping all these plot threads going, and it's amazing. But anyways, this book made me feel a lot of that stuff. I really love it. Yeah, this is a really good book. I gave it 4 stars. Not quite enough to be a 5-star book. It wasn't enough to top my favorite books by her, but I still really enjoyed this one, especially for a sci-fi. I loved the little dystopian elements on the outside in the real world too. And the fantasy I did for the gladiator type of world, and then there's like some kind of magic you can perform in the nightmare world. And there's like fantastical creatures and stuff. That's kind of why I put it as a Christian fantasy as well, but it's little sprinklings. It's mostly sci-fi. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I'm so glad I finally read it this year. 4 stars, would highly recommend, even if you're not a sci-fi fan. That is it. Those are all the books I read in June. I was going to say July, but no. Today is July 1st that I'm recording this, which is why I'm thinking that. But no, I read all these in June. Yeah, great books. Some not so great. DNF some others. Didn't finish the one series. Again, apologies, Lindsay. I'm so sorry. I didn't like the Secrets of Wormdale series, but to each their own. You also don't like a few books that I love, so I guess we're even. But anyways, yeah, different tastes for different readers. But yeah, I really enjoyed the majority of these books. Looking forward to reading some more great ones in July. And yeah, let me know down below in the comments, guys, a favorite or a least favorite book that you read in June. I'd love to know about them, and see if I can add some more to my TBR or maybe avoid some. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.